This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hey everybody, this is Chase from Barrel Age Flicks. Go ahead and check out our Patreon for raw, uncut footage and early access to all of our episodes. The link is in the description, and it's only $5 a month. Thanks for listening.
I am Laputus of Borg. Resistance is futile.
Perhaps today is a good day to die. Prepare for running speed!
Red alert! All hands to battle stations.
Get off my bridge.
Begin auto-destruct sequence. Authorization Picard 47 Alpha Tango.
Resistance is futile. Assimilate this.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships.
I am the beginning, the end, the one who is many. Watch your future's end.
We've made too many compromises already, too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds, and we fall back. Not again. The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther. I will make them pay for what they've done.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I love that line. I love it.
Oh, yeah. So how you guys doing? This is small batch. We are going to be doing Star Trek First Contact. I got Stu here and Tyler here, and we're going to be going over one of the best Star Trek TNG movies of all time, in my opinion.
Yes.
Dude, I'm gonna be totally honest about this. Like, I'm completely intimidated right now because like Star Trek is not my it's not my lane. I enjoy it. I've seen a couple of the movies.
I'm glad you're here, though.
Yes.
That's the thing, because, you know, it's like our Hulk episode where I was the outsider for the Hulk. You're the outsider for Star Trek. But you know what? You enjoyed this film, so.
Yeah, no, I love this fucking movie, dude. Like, I saw this when I was a kid. Saw it a few times growing up on TV. Usually, if I ever caught it, and I've seen a couple of the other movies, a couple of the next gen episodes, and yeah, dude, I have fond memories of it. I dig it. But doing the research for this movie and kind of watching some of the episodes you guys had recommended,
Yeah, I
can't thank you guys enough. Like, that was like the mythos of Star Trek definitely means a lot more now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I have a much deeper understanding, and I'm very grateful. So thank you guys.
No.
Yes.
So I picked the drink today, and I think it's going to fit in perfectly with this movie because Captain Jean-Luc Picard has a drink that he drinks all the time in the series and also in the movies. I believe in First Contact and in the other movies he drank it too. Earl Grey tea. So I thought I would make an alcoholic Earl Grey tea called Earl Grey Tea Glory. It's 4 cups Earl Grey tea, 1 cup simple syrup, 12 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. And this is a quarter of rum, but I put a whole cup of rum in there. So, sorry, I wasn't going to make this shit weak. So, what do you guys think? You ready to try this out?
Yeah, dude,
Yes.
let's get into it.
All right, let's go. Cheers,
I will
guys.
say I'm not a big fan of Earl Grey.
Really?
Yep. Pros.
Are we supposed to say like live long and prosper or some shit?
No.
Make it so.
That works. Oh man, I like it. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Oh, shit. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Nestea.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it does.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what it tastes like.
Exactly.
It tastes like Nestea.
Did you steal Nestea?
No, dude. This is all right. We got to give credit to Sammy because she made this. She even squeezed all the lemons herself and even made the simple syrup by hand. This is fucking good.
Hey, bro. Hey, can you pass it over here, please?
Oh, you want some more?
Yeah, no, this is like really fucking good. Like, I like it. Like, it actually, to me, man, it tastes more like a Arnold Palmer.
I can see that.
Oh, wow. All right, so I guess that's all, 2 thumbs up because this is 2 thumbs up for me. I fucking it's fucking ice cold Nestea. It's refreshing. Seriously, I can drink this anytime. This is awesome. I love it.
Yes.
What do you think, Tyler?
No, dude, samesies.
Well, of course, you're already getting your second helping. Yeah, you're gonna have to pour me one now.
Yep. And you already topped me off, too.
So awesome! That finally, I pick a drink that actually gets thumbs up. That's a first. I think that's a first for a fucking Barrel Age Flicks small batch, whatever the fuck we're doing.
And, of course, it was Jean-Luc.
Exactly.
Yes. Another reason why he's the best captain.
So today we are going to be doing the movie First Contact, as I said. This is one of my all-time favorite TNG movies. I'm a huge Star Trek fan, knowing Stu is also. And I saw this in the theaters. It was great. It was action. It was very entertaining. You got to see the best villains ever made in the Star Trek legacy, the Borg, and you got to it was awesome. It was just great. I mean, the special effects, if special effects still hold up, in my opinion, actually it's pretty good. Oh, you don't think so?
No. So overall, I would say like that they do hold up, but there are a couple scenes here and there like that are a little dated. Like it was actually like one of the first scenes where you actually see the ship flying through space, and you kind of see like one of a galaxy or nebula or something like that behind it. It's a little dated.
Well, I think this movie is the first where they basically just strict to CGI. They weren't doing models anymore because I think Generations was the last time they used models. I mean, you can definitely tell when the Enterprise saucer is crashing on the planet. That's a fucking model.
Yeah, and then also Star Trek would regularly reuse the same backgrounds and stuff like that throughout the multiple series, multiple episodes. You know, just it money saving technique.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is a lot of the sets that were made for these movies they put in the. I mean, the Borg. This is something I read about. The Borg set in the original series, the Best of Both Worlds, which actually we are going to get into that. That's what this movie is based off, is a 2-part episode from TNG. The sets were so low budget during the TV series, and they did not look the way that, they didn't want it to look like that, but they didn't have as much money. So they finally have a bigger budget with this movie, so they actually made these sets.
Except for a lot of the sets they used were already being used by the other shows that were going on.
That's the thing. No, that's what I'm saying. Voyager used the sets from First Contact for their Borg.
First Contact, you would use the sets that Voyager had already established.
No, that's not what I read.
Sick bay alone.
No, sick bay, yes, but I'm talking about the Borg ship.
Oh, the Borg ship. Okay.
Yeah. That's why
when
you look at Voyager,
the Borg ship. You're right.
When you look at Voyager, the Borg looks exactly like it did in First Contact, but it didn't look like that.
It's because the Borg wanted. That's how the Borg. They always wanted them to look. They just didn't have the budget to make the Borg look that way.
Yeah.
So they finally had the big budget to realize what their dreams were.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, cool. We already have everything built. We have everything prototyped, everything designed. Now we can just reuse them over and over and over again.
Plus, they also added a whole bunch of difference. They made the Borg look more menacing the way they looked, especially with their facial. Because originally they used to be just powdery white skin in the originals in the series, but in the movies they had more of this veiny, like black veiny, and
they wanted the Borg to look so menacing. That's what they always wanted.
Yeah.
You guys are a bunch of fucking nerds.
Yes, we are. Yes,
I'm sorry. This Star Trek is.
This is the Borg to me are the greatest Star Trek villain. I mean, even
next to Q.
Q, I don't consider a villain. I consider more of like
anti-villain.
Anti-hero, anti-villain. One of those things that he's just a douche. All right,
he just likes to fuck with Picard.
Exactly.
That's all he wants to do.
No, because he fucked with Janeway a lot too.
My favorite favorite in Voyager. I'm sorry, I'm bringing this up. The favorite is when he. All right, you know that every Christmas they bring out the ornaments, and then you see Q grabbing the ship when they're looking on what is it? The view screen.
Yep.
And it looks like they're in a fucking Christmas tree. I fucking laughed at that because I actually own a lot of those ships. So that kind of made me laugh right there. But overall, Tyler, what did you think of this movie? I mean, you said you saw it before when you were younger, right?
Yeah. So what year did this movie come out?
1996, I believe.
Yeah. So
because 94 is when Generations came out. And
usually it's always longer than that, though.
That's what I mean. All right. So wait a minute. 96. How many years is that now? 96, 2006?
25.
God. Man, it's just
I know
how fucking old we are.
But it still feels longer than that to me just because I guess how much Star Trek has been ingrained in me all growing up, and it's just kind of everything just kind of overlaps to each other, so everything feels like it happened at the same time period.
Yeah.
Because it's always in my memory.
Man, I feel old. Wow.
Yeah. No, so I was a wee little boy when this came out.
How old were you?
I was 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck you. I was already in high school.
We were both in high school.
Okay, that's a fucking punishment shot, whatever the fuck that is. That's a punishment shot.
What the fuck is that?
A punishment shot is what that is.
Oh my God, that was my fucking computer.
It's a punishment shot.
I legit thought that was porn.
No, it was some fucking ad on the computer.
Yes.
Oh, fuck me. I get a punishment shot.
Yes, you do.
No, I do. I don't know why my shit was doing that. It was a fucking ad on the little site where I was looking at for the
porn
cocktail. No, it's a cocktail, you ass.
cock and tail.
All right, go ahead and go back to it. I gotta get myself a fucking shot glass.
Who's Riley Reid?
So, watching with a critical eye that we're rewatching all these films with and stuff like that, and trying to take away the nostalgia, which is extremely hard for me to do. This, especially with something that's part of my childhood now. What did you think of the film itself with a critical eye?
No, I mean, like, exactly where you are, man. Like, I had to watch this movie and try to be as objective as possible, try to remove, like, those rose-tinted glasses.
Yep.
And it was hard. But still, there's a few things that stuck out. There's a few things that stuck out.
All right, interruption real quick while I take this fucking horrible piece of shit vodka that Tyler brought.
That's not vodka.
All right, well,
That's tequila.
Yeah.
Is that almost another punishment shot?
No.
For miscalling
Come
the
on.
punishment shot?
Come on. No, seriously. Come on. I wasn't thinking. There you go. I just took the dick. Oh, God, that shit's nasty.
You took the dick, is that what you just said?
All right, get back to your fucking question.
All right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So removing like the rose tinted glasses and trying to be more objective, it was very, very difficult. But all in all, there's a lot of relationships that are just fucking great in this movie. Like, one of my, some of my favorites are are Riker and Worf.
Yes.
Dude, Riker's the fucking man. Worf is the shit, dude. Perhaps today is a good day to die. What do you say?
Ramming speed.
Yeah, go to ramming speed. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Let's do this shit.
Well, you know that
That's
I'm
Worf.
sure you probably get pissed off that there was a whole love triangle between Worf and Counselor Troy and Riker.
Oh, don't fucking.
I knew that was going to get you.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a whole love. Yeah, Worf and Counselor Troy had a relationship.
Riker and Troy had a relationship prior to the series, even beginning.
Yeah, no, I remember.
Then they kind of rekindled it for a little while.
Riker was a ladies' man.
Yep.
Dude, yeah, womanizer all the way.
And
No,
then
he was he was the Kirk of the original series. That's basically what he was.
Well, didn't you guys say something about Riker was supposed to be he was going to be the new captain, and they're like, yeah, he's the Kirk too, and then they kind of backed off and said maybe we don't need a Kirk too, maybe we need something completely different. And
That's why he's number 2.
he wasn't going to be the captain, but he
Number
was
one.
he was
Number one.
taking he was taking the role that Kirk did. Make it so.
I was about to call a punishment shot.
I know you were. I know you were. I saw you looking at me. I was like, fuck.
Are you calling him a piece of shit? I was confused.
Number 1.
Number one.
So they were going to just have him be the villain, the action, because they didn't see Patrick Stewart being able to portray that, which they didn't want Patrick Stewart to portray. They wanted to go a different route, which was good. I thought it was well. They kind of still were clinging to the idea of Kirk, because even during Patrick Stewart's screen test, they actually had him wear a wig because they were worried that people wouldn't accept a captain who's bald.
What the fuck?
Exactly. And then no, this doesn't work. This doesn't fucking work at all. And I've seen some of the stills. and stuff like that.
Guinan would be upset because Guinan likes bald men.
Yes. Well, she
another
is
thing.
about 3,000 years
episode
old.
stuff. Yeah.
So
You know about Guinan?
Yeah.
Whoopi no, her family was killed by the Borg.
Yeah.
Her race and everything else. And
They mentioned that in Best of Both Worlds.
and it was weird.
actually, I think they even mentioned it in Generations, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
because
they're talking about the ribbon and which caused a bunch
Yeah.
of shit to happen.
yeah,
The Nexus or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That was a good movie.
it was like I said, it's a
It
handing
was
of the torch.
okay for what it was.
It's nice. Like Kirk is my favorite captain. Of course,
I enjoyed the villain.
Yeah,
I really
Malcolm
enjoyed.
McDowell,
Yes.
of course, amazing.
I enjoyed
Plus the
him.
sisters, the Klingon
Yes.
sisters. What's her names? Elsa and something.
Not Elsa.
I don't remember what it was. But
Yeah, the Ducat sisters or something like that.
the only thing I am mad about Generations is the stock footage that they use of the blowing up of the bird of prey, because it's the exact same explosion from Undiscovered
Yes.
Country.
Yes,
I
it
was
is.
a little pissed off by that, but I guess that was just because they didn't have the money to film another explosion. Don't know if you noticed it. I'm sorry, man. I'm a Star Trek fan by heart, man.
Yes.
But no, back to what we're talking about Riker. The dude's a ladies' man.
Yep.
He's fucking awesome. Worf is the complete opposite of him. He's basically like a space Viking.
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
Warrior culture, cool as fuck. But yeah, no, their relationship is awesome, because I guess at this point Worf has been is he a commander or is he a captain of another ship?
No, he's
he's
not a commander.
on the
He's a
the
commander.
series Deep
Space Nine.
Yeah, sorry, Deep Space Nine. He when the Next Generation was canceled, well, actually not canceled, it kind of ended after the because usually it's about 7 seasons. I think original series was 3 seasons. The TNG was 7 seasons. Voyager was 7 seasons. Deep Space Nine was 7 seasons.
Enterprise was 4 seasons, if I remember correctly.
Nerds.
I didn't know. See, the thing is, Enterprise. I knew Enterprise was shorter, but I just didn't bring. I wasn't a big fan of Enterprise as much.
And now we got Picard, we got Discovery, we got Below Decks, they're doing another kids animated show of Star Trek now.
They
getting ready
are?
to come out. Yes.
Oh, well, they're trying to
they're-
milk all the money they can
Okay.
with Star Trek, but that's something we have to talk about later. Is about the new Star Trek movies, the one with Chris Pine and all that. But
Yeah.
The Kelvinverse.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you guys if you wanted to get to that eventually.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, we have plenty of time. We can do that. in this episode.
It is a part of the canon. So.
Yeah.
well, not this episode, but you guys have done pretty well by going almost movie by movie by movie, going through this, like, talking about the trilogies and how they connect to the show and everything. I was wondering if you guys were going to get to that point eventually where you're doing the next generation movies and then doing like the remakes and all that shit.
I'm thinking about doing, like I said, I was talking to Stu about it. I was thinking about doing one episode on the trilogy of the newer movies. I
Yeah,
think we
we
can
can do that.
I think we can fit it all in one episode.
And then talk about how it necessitated out of the split of CBS Viacom.
So a future tease for you, everybody. We will do a future small batch episode on the newer Star Trek trilogy of the generation right now, the Chris Pine trilogy, I guess you can say. J.J. Abrams, yes.
Jar Jar.
His whole trilogy.
Jar Jar.
Well, he didn't direct the third one. I think.
No.
Jar
What was
Jar.
it?
I forget who it was.
Jar Jar. What the fuck are you talking? Jar Jar. It's a Star Wars.
Jar Jar Abrams, yeah.
Oh,
that
okay,
that
gotcha.
fuckhead.
And I thought it was interesting, just the back information is the split between CBS Viacom and Paramount.
Yeah.
How one ended up with the TV show rights and one ended up with the movie rights. So that's why they had to create the Kelvin universe, because they still had the Star Trek movie rights, but they couldn't do anything. So they had to create a whole new world altogether. And I thought they did a really good job, at least with the idea of how they came about to necessitate the creation of the Kelvinverse.
Yes, that's true. You're just like sitting there like, what am I going to, like,
It's there's for somebody who's not even like a Star Trek fan necessarily. Like I enjoy the series. Like,
you know what? I have a
respect
feeling you're
it.
going to become a Star Trek fan.
I can see that. Like, especially after watching like the Best of Both Worlds and then the family episode afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's just seeing how well written those episodes were.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the characterization. I'm definitely actually thinking about continuing on and watching and seeing where the arc goes. And in my research I heard about an episode with some Captain Jalisco or something like that.
Trying to remember that one.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on that one.
Jalisco, whatever.
Okay. Oh, what was
he's apparently he takes over as the captain.
Yeah.
of
Oh,
the
yeah.
Enterprise.
Oh.
And apparently he's very, very, as a matter of fact, hardline kind of
Yes.
dude. And apparently he kind of there's this divide amongst the audiences because a lot of people didn't like him because he was so hardline and so rational and logical and everything like that that he had no compassion. And there were other people that were just like, yeah, no bullshit. That's the kind of captain that I would want.
Right.
And it kind of split the audiences. And apparently this whole thing out there in the Star Trek universe about, whether you like Captain Jalisco or not.
Yeah.
So I wanted to watch that 2-parter and kind of get my own opinion.
What was your feeling on Picard? And watching the few episodes you have watched, watching First Contact and everything like that, have you become a fan of Picard?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're asking if I'm Picard or I'm Kirk or whatever, I'm definitely Picard just because of the simple fact that
I'm the only one. I'm the only one.
Well, you're old.
And you're wrong.
No, I'm sorry. There's okay. I'm going to say this because I know we had this argument back in the
the other small batches.
original series. Yeah, Captain Kirk is the first captain. He's a good.
No, he's not.
No, Captain Pike was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that. But what I'm saying, he was the first mainstream captain for the Star Trek Enterprise. He was for the original series. I liked his character better. I liked how him and Spock coexisted with each other. I thought they did. Yeah, pour me some, please. I thought they did really well together. But just like Kirk and Spock, it's like Data and Picard. Mm-hmm. That's what I would see it as. Would you say Data and Picard are kind of like the whole? Because when you look at the posters for the new, when you see the posters for the newer movies, you don't ever see Riker on them. You see Data and Picard always.
No, I think that your imposing of the characters is wrong.
Yeah, there's no direct comparison of characters because they did a good job in Next Gen making them even more of an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
And everybody filled in different parts of different roles.
You don't feel like they did that in the original series?
Not as well.
Well, the original series is more Spock and Kirk and McCoy. It was more of the three guys, like the tripod, basically. And Next Generation, I can agree with you on saying that, where all of them had a certain
Like Worf
role.
was a huge part of it.
Yeah, but there was also times where
Riker
Picard
was a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Troy, huge part of it.
How about
Crusher?
Wesley? How about
huge-
Wesley?
Shut up, Wesley.
Dude, I will admit, I watched. I had to watch that scene. I had to find it.
Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, like Wesley stood up and he said something like, "I'm about to say something that I know might get me kicked off to the bridge," and Picard's just like, "Shut up, Wesley."
Yes.
And I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude."
Overall, you need to watch the series. It's well worth it. Trust me. Watching it from the beginning. Now, certain seasons get a little weak.
First
Season's weak, and I believe the last season's a little weak too, because
Until
they kind of
the
rushed.
end.
Because the last episode is great, but they really rushed it on the last season because they were trying to get them into the movies. Basically, do you taste any of the alcohol at all?
No,
That's the thing.
that's why it's dangerous. Like, this is my third glass, and like I'm actually trying not to drink it right now because I'm gonna get fucking sloppy.
It's good though. That's the thing. You like it?
Very nice.
To something else. Hey, fuck you, man. Like that's,
So
that's
I-
what we're gonna. That's what we're working towards.
Hey,
Picked a good one. I'm glad I picked a good one.
if we get to that point, then the next episode that we record might be even more fun.
No. I think tasting room.
I'm supposed to be the lead on that one.
I
So
think
no, you don't want
tasting
that.
room is going to be the fun one. I think tasting room is going to be the fun one. All right, so we're going to do the
Peek
one, two.
behind the curtain, everybody. We record multiple episodes at once.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into the movie. So overall, what did you think of this movie, man?
I thought it did a great job showing Picard's turmoil and giving him
His
what
history.
felt like some resolution to him about after what the Borg did to him, which they hit on and off throughout the episodes and the series afterwards. But after such a traumatic event that happened to him, being taken over, having your identity stripped away, and being forced to commit such horrible atrocities against your own people, and having to live with that. I thought he did a good job of showing PTSD, making poor decisions based on emotions.
Which the character, what's her name? The character that helps him.
Oh yeah. The one from the past.
Quinan or something like that?
No, not Guinan. No. You're saying it's Guinan. No, we're talking about in the movie. The woman from the past, the black woman who was.
Lily.
There you go, Lily.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, Lily did a great job of helping him kind of come to the realization. And weird little side note. So the original script called for basically a flip of Riker and Picard.
Yeah.
Picard was supposed to be the one on the planet. Riker was supposed to be the one on the ship doing more of the battling, more action oriented. And Patrick Stewart was
Patrick Stewart wanted to do it himself. He wanted to be a part of the action.
Patrick Stewart was like, fuck that. I want to do it. And it was actually supposed to be showing a lot more stuff, more heavily focused on planet than it was on the ship. And Patrick Stewart was like, nope, we're using this as an opportunity to give my character some goddamn resolution and make him a badass at the same time.
But I thought Lily was a good character. I thought Lily was a very good character. But the other thing about the Picard is that he was so connected to the Borg because he still has those implants in him. They can't pull all the implants out, so no matter what, he's connected to the mind. Like in the beginning of the movie, when the Starfleet is attacking the Borg because the Borg is about to attack Earth. I mean, he knew how to kill him. He knew how to get
he knew
rid
the
of
weak
him.
spots and everything. Yes,
But the only thing that slides into is the whole time travel, which you wanted to talk about exactly. The time travel that you didn't care for.
Yeah, no. So let me back up here a little bit because we were talking about Worf and Riker and all the things like I liked about this movie. Like, would you want me to kind of start with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Things I liked about the movie. So I already kind of said a little bit about how much I liked Worf and I liked Riker's like their relationship because you had said before like that Worf was on another ship. The Enterprise basically comes to the rescue with a beam. Worf aboard. And like as immediately as Worf enters the bridge, like Riker wastes no time whatsoever, like in breaking his balls. Like,
Yes.
it's fucking great, dude.
Telling him, do you remember what to do here when he was over at the weapons?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like, you know how to fire phasers, right? And like,
Worf just gives him that look, like,
dude,
you're gonna die.
No. He looks like he's about to tear his spine out through his asshole.
Exactly.
Yes.
And like, and it's just so fucking great. And like, and before that, Riker's, Riker's like, the Defiance held it pretty well. It's a tough little ship. And Worf's like, little.
Yep.
It's just like he knew exactly what he was fucking doing. And like just to kind of see those two back, like go back and forth, whatever. It's old friends, man.
Yeah.
Just like
So you need to watch the original series because you see a lot of that through the
But
original series.
the Defiant, actually, in my opinion, they made it pussy compared to what it was supposed to be.
I know you said something
Yeah.
about it was made to battle the Borg, basically.
Yeah, the Defiant, and when it was introduced in Deep Space Nine, it was introduced as this top secret prototype ship that was being designed and built by Starfleet to be a Borg killer. They had known Borg were on their way, so they decided, all right, we got to start fucking developing shit to battle these fuckers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they never got the opportunity in Deep Space Nine to use that actually against the Borg. It got called into special duty because of what was called the Dominion War. And that was another quadrant and wormhole and all this other stuff. So they were using it to fight other beings.
Yeah.
The Founders and the Dominion. And so it never actually got a chance in Deep Space Nine to fight the Borg.
That sucks, dude. Like
Yeah.
you designed this weapon specifically for this one enemy, and you never get a chance to use it.
It's a good looking little ship.
And
That's the thing.
it's a badass little ship.
Yeah,
It holds its own in Deep Space Nine and the Dominion War.
Oh, yeah.
It does get destroyed in the Dominion War, and
Yeah.
they bring out its sister ship, and which they're like, nope, we're not going to call it. It was like the San Juan or something like that, and like, nope, we're rechristening it the Dominion. It's the Dominion again.
I thought the
fuck
Defiant.
you.
Yeah, I thought the Defiant was
Defiant. Sorry,
Defiant. Punishment shot.
Okay. If you want to vote for it, you want to call for the vote. You want to call for the
I'm
vote?
afraid to fucking. Come on, I fucked up on everything. Can we get him to fuck?
He didn't call you on the punishment shot for saying number 2.
I vote for a
You
yay.
both are looking at me. Well, you called for the fucking punishment.
All
shot,
right,
so
yeah, but I have to call for a vote.
Obviously, you call for yay. All right, here's what I'm going to say. If he has to take a punishment shot for the Dominion, you got to take a punishment shot for the number 2. Fair is fair. What do you want to do?
I'm fine with that. Either way.
What do you want to do?
You know what? That's fair.
Cool.
That's fair.
All right.
Go ahead and get back. Actually, before I get into that, I'm going to go ahead and pour shots. But also, I wanted to relay something about the whole Riker and Worf thing. You remember the movie Generations? You saw Generations? Yeah. When's the last time you saw it? You remember the beginning when they're on that old school, the Clipper ship that he does in the holodeck? In the beginning of the movie, remember when Worf is coming to get his because he's getting a rank up, and he removes the what is the thing called, the board that you go walk out when you're
The plank.
The plank, yes, walking out the plank, and he removes computer remove plank, and he drops in the water. That's another thing about Riker and Worf. I think he did that on purpose.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
And when they I forget which episode it is, but when they're stuck in Sherwood Forest in the holodeck, and Worf was made to wear clothes like Little John. Everybody just busts everybody's balls. It's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the first time that the Defiant actually had a chance to fight the Borg was in that battle. And so I was really hoping to see the Defiant actually hold its fucking own, and it fucking didn't. I'm like, all right, you little bitch.
That sucks, dude.
All right, on to my second punishment shot.
Our inaugural double punishment shot.
Cheers, buddy.
Prost.
That's true.
Oh, gotta wash it down with this tea. I love this tea.
No, that's really good. All right. So as I was saying, I'm loving this movie up until about this point, and what I'm talking about is the time travel. So I don't have a problem with time travel like in a story, as long as like it is the key feature of the story, such as Back to the Future or the Time Machine, obviously.
See, the reason why they dabbled in time. Deep Space Nine, the one where they go back for the Tribbles episode. Actually, that was a fun episode because they went back to the original series and the special effects were really good. They did a Deep Space Nine episode where the crew actually goes
That
back.
wasn't the only time they go back in time.
I know, but it was
Deep Space
actually,
Nine.
it was just one I remembered that I enjoyed. They go back to the original series where Kirk and everything, and they actually impose their. It was actually a really well made episode because it was like the old school, and there was a lot of jokes. It was actually a funny episode more than a serious episode, but every series and movie has done. I mean, shit, even Generations is time when you think about it. It's a time travel episode because of the whole.
It's pulled into a separate.
It's like a
but it's still going back in time.
Interdimension. Like it's like interdimensional.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
different dimension. Yeah.
It's putting in its own separate space. It's not.
It's
time.
close to it though. It still has a little bit of a time thing.
No,
I disagree.
Time has no meaning in the.
Yeah, time
in the
has no
Nexus.
meaning. So how can it be about time travel if time has no meaning?
Well, okay, I guess I'm wrong there. Go ahead.
So yeah, so like anytime you introduce time travel into a universe, like it immediately reduces the stakes, and basically nothing matters because like like I said, if you spill your beer or something like that, you can just go right back in time 30 seconds ago and and just not do that, and immediately like nothing means anything, and they you really see that like in Endgame. With the last Marvel movie, like you really see that with Endgame. It just totally fucks up the whole story. Nothing really means anything anymore. It's just like, well, like what, like are they on a different timeline? Like is everybody back? Like like nothing really matters then, and it's just like, well, why don't we just do this again? And that was my question. Like is all right. So the whole time travel starts because the Borg they somehow open like a temporal rift or whatever. And then the Enterprise gets caught like in a temporal wake.
Yep.
And somehow they're protected from like what happens.
Yeah,
And-
data going into a scientific talk.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like, all right, cool. Like, so that sort of kind of explains how they're able to time travel. But again, me not being really a Star Trek fan and kind of have just kind of like a sort of a how do you say just sort of like a
passing understanding,
passing understanding, like, or just sort of like kind of like just a general like respect for the series and kind of like watching like this episode and that episode. Apparently, they've gone back in time several times.
Yes.
Like, and in different ways.
Yes.
Like, all right, so like, how do you guys really feel about that?
You know
Like,
what? You have a point there. First of all, I think that was lazy writing. The whole temporal rift thing, because the Voyage Home episode where they go basically go into a warp speed at a certain amount of time around the sun in order to go back in time, and this one was a temporal rift. I mean, every single time they do time travel, it's something different the way that they do it.
Yes, because they are introducing different ways for it to happen. Like they had transporter accidents that caused weird shit.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that episode. Yeah,
they've had ships from the 31st century travel back, and create different time loops. There's always something different to cause it to happen, because each time it happens, it's either super fucking dangerous or it's something that can't be replicated.
You remember that episode where
so that's
Scotty
the way they get rid of your concern as, once time travel is introduced, then it can always be the answer to everything.
So it was kind of like a happy accident.
In this case, yeah, the Borg going back in time, which also to your point, you said it needed. You don't have a problem with it in a film, unless it's an integral.
Integral.
Thank you. I was being tongue tied like a motherfucker. Yeah. Part of the story, and this is a super important part of the story, because the Borg realize, all right, the Federation is a strong force that could fuck us up. The best way to get rid of them is to make them so they never existed. And the best way to make that happen is to go back in time. And the Borg have gone around. They're basically the roaches and the scavengers of the universe. They go and absorb different cultures, different people, different races, everything, and absorb their technology to make themselves better, make themselves stronger, make themselves more dominant. And so they use some of the tech they got from a different race, which also thereby they had to create a special ship. Hence the first time we see the Borg sphere. You had never seen the Borg sphere in any of the episodes or any of the shows prior to this. And so they had to design a special ship using a limited amount of material they had to travel back in time, which it could be explained. That's what caused the temporal wake. So the writers gave themselves an out, so it isn't something that becomes a recurring situation again. So I didn't have a problem with them doing it. They always make it super high stakes, make it something that's not the answer, that they can always rely on. But yeah, it does happen a lot, and it's so much that the Federation has what's called the Temporal Prime Directive, which basically says you don't fuck with time if they're
Yeah,
you can
no,
avoid
that's what
it.
I was just about to say, that they had needed to avoid it. They had to do it this time because the Borg fucked up the whole universe with the assimilate. Yes, the whole
You will be assimilated.
in the whole Earth basically. So they had to fix that. But after they were done with that and they fixed it at the end of the movie, they won't do that again.
Nope.
So because it's basically completely, I can't think of the word. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Cunt.
Are you fucking ass?
But one thing it does do, it does always raise the question: is has it always meant to happen that way?
Yeah.
In the timeline that we know, did all the shit actually happen because of this interference? If the Borg were always meant to travel back in time, the Enterprise was meant to go with them. We're meant to make the first contact happen and to stay in the background. And if everything didn't happen just right, nothing would have happened.
So one of the indicators that like the Borg have arrived on the Enterprise is the increasing like temperature and humidity. And my only question is how does that make any fucking sense to you guys? Like the temperature is increasing and the humidity is increasing. The Borg are mostly like computer, right? They're mostly like the cybernetics, fucking like like machines or whatever. When has your computer ever done better in a hot, humid climate?
Which is that's a very good point.
Yeah, no, it is.
Because I don't remember in the shows, in the episodes.
I think that's something they just brought up in writing just to add to the movie, I believe.
Yeah, because I really don't
They
think
didn't-
they talked about heat or humidity in the shows. I thought they implied that it was kind of colder there.
Yeah.
Whenever they would get on the ship and stuff like that.
Yeah, because didn't they even bring it up when the humidity change into the ships is just like a board ship? That wasn't brought up in the show, was
I
it?
don't remember that ever being.
If it was, then it's something that we miss. You guys out there, if you have any input on that, just send us an email or something like that, because I don't remember. I'm gonna have to watch those episodes just with the Borg and see if there was any line or something like that about that. But I do agree with you on that. That is different because computers work more on a drier.
Drier, cooler. Yeah, exactly.
But the other side, they are still organic, so maybe their organic parts operate better when it's a little bit warmer.
That's fucking dumb.
You know what?
Because,
No,
look at the
you know
Queen.
what? Because they dry out because there's really no. Well, I guess they do have life in them. I mean, it's more because they're just using their organic counterparts to be a cyborg.
Yeah.
You have to have your organic cyborg, organic.
It's bad.
Yeah,
It's not.
do you think that's just writing?
It's a plot hole. Yeah, it's bad writing.
Okay, so
I'll give that to you.
I guess we can all agree on that.
I'll give that to you.
Yeah, because here's my thing. So like in Aliens, they found like where all the colonists and everything like that were basically where the hive was.
Yeah.
And it was beneath the cooling towers, and like in cooling towers, like it's kind of like a misnomer because
That's a good.
it was
Very warm.
very hot there because that's where all the terraforming towers, whatever, were being cooled. So where like all the colonists were like where the aliens were building the hive was very warm and very humid, and that makes sense because the xenomorphs were organic.
Yes.
The Borg are not. Like look at the Queen.
No, the
Look
Borg
at-
are organic. Well, they're
No,
half
no,
organic,
look-
half
look-
cyborg.
Not even. Look at the Queen. The Queen's like maybe like 10% like organic. It's really just like the head and like the top part of her shoulders, and that's it.
You got a point. No, it's a major plot hole. That's something that I never even thought about.
No, I agree completely.
Yeah.
It's something that like I said, I don't remember them ever implying that it's warm and humid in the Borg ships,
Good
which
point,
is where
Tyler.
they would be.
Good point. That's a really good point.
So to continue on with aliens, and I know that like we always bring up aliens because like it was our first episode.
It's our
which makes
best
total
movie
makes
of
total
fucking all
sense.
time, yeah.
Which makes total sense. Like like we're all obsessed with aliens, but
Well, the Borg is the aliens to Star Trek when you think of
Exactly.
it. Yeah, so that's what they are because it's the hive, it's the Queen.
It is.
Well, in a way,
Which is it's based on the terrifying idea of this all-encompassing numerous beings all thinking the same thing, trying to accomplish the exact same thing.
Right.
And there's nothing you can do. You kill one, there's 10 more right behind them.
Yeah.
And it's
they're all
it's a
one mind.
primal fear.
they're all one mind.
Yeah.
But like you said, we were talking about the Borg Queen being created for this movie. They created this queen for the movie just to create a character, because originally it was supposed to be just a big computer, because in the best of both worlds, it was just some computer out in the Borg cube.
Yeah.
But really, it's like a whole network. And they were even talking about how when they rescued Locutus, that Locutus is the name of Picard when he became the Borg. They rescued him, and
Which
he
is
was
Latin for speaker, if I remember correctly.
that's what he was. He was a
Yes.
speaker for the Borg.
Yes.
So basically, he was part of the network, and I remember Data going into some scientific talk about how they were trying to cancel that whole network and where they were connected to Locutus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So good point, Tyler. Very good point.
and he was also the only Borg up until that point, and for a long time afterwards, that actually had a name versus a number designation.
I'm trying to remember the episode with Hugh. He wasn't called Hugh. That was something that they named him.
Yeah. Well, that's the name he kind of. Yeah, that was Lamar. Not Lamar. Geordie. LeVar Burton.
And Hugh was in 2 episodes because he was also in an episode with.
He was actually in, I think, more than 2 episodes.
Well, he was in a 2-parter with Lore.
Yeah.
He came back with the whole thing about Data had a brother, an evil twin, by the way. If you didn't,
and also Hugh.
Yeah, you didn't know that? Yes.
And he has another brother called Before.
Yeah. Oh, you talking about the one in Nemesis? The dumb retarded one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And but Hugh also comes back in Picard.
What?
Yep. An older Hugh.
Okay, I gotta watch that show. I'm behind on Picard. Just let you know that's probably one that I need to watch that I haven't watched yet. Back to you, Tyler.
Yeah, so there is like definitely like I noticed like some very, very strong similarities between the Borg and the Xenomorphs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we already kind of talked about how like they have a hive, they have a queen, they assimilate people like just like the way the aliens like like they capture people and they infect them, and like with the facehuggers like implant the parasite and like kind of burst out of their chest and everything, and becomes like they all sort of become like their own. They kind of become alien like Xenomorphs in a way because the Xenomorphs like steal a part of their DNA.
Yep.
There's a lot of similarities, whatever. And one thing I want to ask you guys: have you ever noticed there's a very, very striking similarity between the Borg and there's the look of the Xenomorphs, almost as if they were inspired by H.R. Geiger?
Oh yes, absolutely there were. Absolutely.
Oh, God, you're putting up another view that I never even thought about.
No, this is definitely something.
That is true because the whole black and the whole what's that the type of look?
Biomechanical.
The biomechanical look. That's a good point. That's another one.
That's what the writers of Star Trek were wanting to do. They wanted some super unbeatable, terrifying force to go up against as the long-term villain.
Because I believe the Borg is the ultimate villain of Starfleet and all the other alien races.
Absolutely.
Well, no, they're believe it or not, there was another one.
Romulans, Borg.
No,
name something else.
There was something else. It's something that actually the Borg were afraid of. It was in Voyager.
The ones from the not liquid space, but the almost bug-like creatures that were just
the Borg were actually afraid of.
Starship Troopers.
It kind of was.
It's been a long time since I've watched it, but I remember.
No, the Borg ended up opening a rift into another universe, and this one's kind of almost filled with a liquid. But the creatures from that universe were very insectoid, but just pure killing machines.
In fact, I think the Borg even used. Didn't the Borg actually use the crew from the Voyager to help them?
Yeah, because they were getting fucking their asses handed to them.
So that's in a Voyager episode. But there was a race bigger, but they never really went further with that.
Well, they would pop up every now and then in Voyager.
Yeah, but normally the Borg is probably the top villain in Star Trek altogether because they're not unbeatable, but they're.
You remember who the first big bad villains were supposed to be?
Who?
Remember that weird bug-like creatures that were taking over the people in Starfleet from the first season?
Yeah.
That was what's supposed to be the big overarching villain in Next Gen, and then after the first episode, and not the first episode, the first season.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they got so many negative reports because how grossed out everybody was and freaked out, and how violent these fucking creatures were. They got such bad negative reactions to the things that they decided to scrap that entire fucking storyline.
And then they created the Borg.
If you remember at the end of season 1, they had some people in Starfleet, infected and shit like that, and then they never fucking talked about them again.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about the Borg is they came in the 3rd season. Was it the 3rd season?
Yeah. Season 3, season finale, and season 4.
And then season 4, and then they were a reoccurring character throughout the other seasons, and then all the other series. I'm trying to remember. Was the Borg in Deep Space Nine?
The Borg, I don't remember ever showing up in Deep Space Nine off the top. But they were always talked about. It was a known threat. And I'm sure there was episodes here and there that had a few Borg, but it wasn't ever a, Borg are attacking the, Deep Space Nine, because there's nothing really fucking that space station could do if the Borg actually attacked them.
All right, so there's only one appearance of the Borg in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and it's in the series premiere. Emissary. The episode's prologue depicts Benjamin Sisko Avery Brooks as first officer of the USS Saratoga and the Starfleet Armada dispatched to confront the Borg at Wolf 359.
Yep.
The Saratoga is destroyed by the Borg, killing Sisko's wife.
I completely forgot Locutus, because there was a whole Picard that Picard was the first.
Yeah,
he was in the first episode.
Yes, and Sisko always has a distrust for Picard.
Yes,
because Picard was the face of the one that killed his wife.
Yes, I remember that. I can't believe
Yeah.
That was the first season of Deep Space Nine, wasn't it?
Premiere episode.
Yeah, I can't believe we missed that.
There you go.
Good point.
So back to what we're talking about the Borg. They're a lot like the Xenomorphs. In First Contact, there's even a fucking air shaft scene.
Yep.
The Borg are the Xenomorphs.
You are completely right.
It's a wonderful, wonderful idea of a villain, and Star Trek took that idea of a villain and made it their own.
Hell yeah,
they did. Space zombies, basically. That's what they were.
Like I said, it's the faceless, overpowering force,
and the Queen, just like the alien Queen in Aliens, and oh wow, and the fact that they assimilate just like aliens, they take over everything, they cocoon everybody, just like Borg, they assimilate everybody to turn into more Borg, just like the aliens take the bodies of all the humans so they can create more of their drones.
Yep. And they're even Borg drones. They're referred to as drones.
I didn't even think about that. Oh my god, man! I can't.
But
believe
of course,
the
drones are referred to as ant colonies and stuff like that.
See, Tyler, you're actually teaching us a little bit here, because I didn't even think about that, and that's a good comparison between both of them right there.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad I watched this movie again, because I had never made that connection before in the past, and it wasn't until I watched this movie again, just the other day, that I was like, holy shit, like they're just like the fucking Xenomorphs.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a lot of parallels here. But moving on, man, like one thing I really like about this movie, take away like the time travel, is just like it's just the characters. Like I already talked about Worf and Riker and John and Patrick Stewart playing Jean-Luc Picard. Like his performance is fucking phenomenal, dude.
That speech at the end, when he, the one that's at the end of our title, is one of my favorites, because you just see his acting skills. You just see how much rage he has towards the Borg. Beautiful. I fucking love that little speech that he gives off. And he's Captain Ahab, basically.
Absolutely, man. Like the line must be drawn. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, dude, the fucking the motion behind it, man. Like, like no further. Like, it's just like, dude, yes, fuck yeah. Like,
we can agree to say that Patrick Stewart fucking rocks.
Yes.
That's
why he's the best fucking captain.
Okay. I'm all right. He's number 2. That's
no,
what he is
he's
to
number 1.
No, to me, he is number 1.
We're not talking about Riker again, okay?
Okay. But overall, Picard is he puts himself into that role. He's not lazy in the role. He is perfect for that role, and he loves that role. In fact, there was a point where I remember he said that he actually wanted to get out of that role, but it is him.
Absolutely.
You remember we talked about in many other movies how a
actually in Best of Both Worlds, they weren't sure if Picard was coming back for season 4. That's why they set it up the way they did.
Yeah,
they wrote an out for themselves for Riker to take over. And
I'm glad
in the off season they went ahead and hammered out the new contract with him and everything like that. So that's why they came back.
So to briefly kind of talk about the show a little bit. When I watched the Best of Both Worlds, and I kind of saw like that teasing of of Riker has been offered like 3 times at this point to be a captain. He's turned it down every single time. I'm like, why didn't the fucking show go that way? Like, why didn't like fuck Voyager, fuck Deep Space Nine? Like, why didn't they start
I think because
Voyager
of Riker as the captain of a ship?
They didn't want to lose Riker off of Next Gen. He was too important of a member of the whole ensemble. So they didn't want to do that, and they had already they wanted. By that point, Voyager was already on the air while Next Gen was on the air. Deep Space Nine was on the air while Next Gen was on the air.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to do that. Now they could have potentially spun him off after the end, but I don't know if Jonathan Frakes wanted to commit to another series at that point.
No, he didn't. But the thing is, remember the last episode, the finale episode of the whole series, you got to see him as a captain of his own ship. See, that's an episode I recommend you watch. Is the last episode. I forgot the episode, but it's a 2-parter episode. It's with Q and Picard, where he goes through different timelines. And there's a timeline where it's the future, and Riker is the captain of his own ship, and he's telling Picard what to do. Basically, it's actually. I think you would enjoy that because you are such a big fan. You love Riker. I think Riker's one of your favorite characters next to Worf, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, so that's another thing, man. Like the characters of of Next Generation, like they're fucking great, man. Like I love Picard, I love Riker, I love Worf, I love fucking Data, dude.
Data is the fucking.
I love Geordi, man. Geordi's a good character. I think Geordi's like what you know.
I'm
I've
mad
always
they took
loved
away his
Scotty.
visor in First Contact.
Are you mad that they changed it to the fucking contacts?
Yeah, well, I know that, and I know that's what he wanted to do. He hated.
Well,
wearing the
remember in
fucking visor.
Insurrection, they completely took him away, and he got his eyesight. You go, oh, I get to see the sun finally. Remember that at the end. But Geordi's a good character. Geordi, I think, is a genius of engineering, just like Scotty was. I love Scotty, but there's even an episode where Scotty is a guest appearance in Star Trek episode, and they meet, and you kind of see the two engineers that get together. It's actually like,
and you realize what a lazy piece of shit Scotty was.
He was, but you know what? That's the thing. Geordi was a pro. He was a pro engineer, so he was a good character. Did you like what's her name? The doctor,
Crusher.
What?
Dr. Crusher.
Crusher?
Yeah.
Picard's little. You know that him and Picard had a little love thing going on.
Him and Picard had a love thing going on.
Yeah.
Him and Picard had a love thing going on.
Pretty gay.
Okay. Is there something you know about Beverly Crusher that I don't know?
Okay, I just got my word wrong.
Punishment shot.
You really?
You called it on me for saying
But we did
Dominion
a-
instead
we
of
did a
Defiant.
same
For
shot.
saying Dominion instead of Defiant, you called it on me.
Dude,
You completely changed the
Take a vote.
sex of a main character.
all right, take a vote.
I'm not gonna call for it.
Really?
I'm not gonna call for it.
You can,
That's
man.
simple. I know I can.
No,
I
it's
know
fair.
I can. But it's a simple misspeak, and I'm worried about us setting up a slippery slope. And I know I get tongue tied often.
All right, no, I understand that, especially because we've had this very, very delicious drink here
Yes.
today.
Yeah, you know that
we are getting very, very
Well,
sloshed.
I'm just going to say this flat out. That whole big, huge mason jar of tea is basically like 3/4 gone. It's
What is this? It's at least 6 cups.
it was 5 cups and now we're right at 2, so it's going down pretty quick. And I
We've
want more.
only had 3 cups.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right, so I take that back. I rescind my call. So, all
yeah.
right, where were we? So we're talking about, all right, so love triangles or whatever, relationships, affairs.
Yeah, Dr. Crusher and Picard had a little love of it, sort of. It was very small.
It's implied sometimes.
But you know that Picard hates Wesley.
Picard was
Does he
best.
really?
Yeah, Picard
He
was
was annoyed by
best
him.
friends with
He was young.
Crusher's husband, who's dead.
Jack.
Yeah,
Wesley-
they were best friends, and he felt like he had to take over her deceased husband's spot and watching over her and Wesley and making sure they were taken care of.
I mean, so actually, man, I don't think Picard didn't like Wesley then because he was probably just being a good father figure.
He didn't know how to deal with kids.
Yeah. Not just that.
Good
I mean,
point. No, that's a good point.
Well, not just that. I mean, a good father is not supposed to be your friend.
That's true.
And everything he did for Wesley.
Well, no,
Picard is the reason Wesley became.
Wesley matured as a child too. Because
Up until he went
Starfleet.
off to that fucking weird ass goddamn fucking traveler shit.
The first or second season, he was more of the childlike character. He was just trying. They always try and throw a child character into a series. They didn't do that in the original series. I don't believe they did, but in the TNG, that's what he was. But then he matured more into a.
It's because the original ship wasn't a family ship.
Yeah.
The next gen ship, it's a family ship.
Yeah, and then when they went into the movies, it was more to a battleship.
And they even talk about how Picard has never really done on a family ship before, so he didn't know how to really deal with kids and shit like that, him not having kids.
I really like the characters in this movie. We already talked about Worf and Riker. We talked about Picard and Patrick Stewart's exemplary fucking performance of.
And I think you'll appreciate everything so much more if you actually do watch the series and build that core understanding of each character and each all their motivations. They do a great job for the uninitiated, and making it a very welcoming type movie, but to know and feel that everything that these characters that have gone through in their past as you watch them, it's even more amazing.
But here's a good question outright on that. Do you think First Contact is a good movie to watch outright without even having to watch the series?
Yes, I think it does a great job standing on its own 2 feet.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
But it makes it even better for the ones who have watched.
Oh yeah, no, for the
watched
fans, it's just like it's like gold. It's because you know these characters, you know what they've been through and everything else. So it's a completely different experience.
That's why it was so much harder for me to take off my glasses and watch it underneath a critical view. Just because I had all that previous knowledge, I had all that understanding of everything they had gone through that made them up to this point, and appreciated everything they had gone through.
Yeah.
So it's a good film if you hadn't been invested. It's a good film if you're for the uninitiated. I think it's a great film for the initiated, for the true fans.
Do you think it's a good film to introduce to Star Trek?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Like if somebody asks, "Oh, I've never seen Star Trek before. Which movie should I watch?" Do you think this would be the one to pick?
It depends. I mean, like, are you going to want to introduce them to more original series type feel? Are you going to want to introduce them to more next gen type feel, or are you going to want to introduce them to a more action?
See, that's kind of a hard answer because for the original series, that's more of people that grew up with the original series in the 60s and 70s.
Like Wrath of Khan, I think is a wonderful film, even if you hadn't been initiated.
You don't have to. Well, that's the thing, because the motion picture, when you look at the motion picture and you look at Wrath of Khan, they're completely different movies.
Yes,
they went through a completely different direction. The way that they look, their uniforms, the way that they talk, the way that they act, it seems more like a real like military ship. Although the motion pictures seems more of like the original series, it's completely different.
Yes,
but TNG is completely, in a way, different because of I guess because it's more of the newer generation that watches it. You know, people that grew up in the 90s and 2000s and after that. But yeah,
I grew up in the 80s and 90s.
That's right. Because, Star Trek:
The
Next Generation came out in like 1988, I believe, 1989. I think the first season was like 1988 or 1989.
I want to say 89. I want to say
it was either 88 or I think it was 2 years in the 80s, and then it went to the 90s. I think so because Generations came out in 1994, and there were 7 seasons. And I think when Generations came out, the last season of Next Generation was coming out.
87.
87.
I knew it. So I knew it was like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. September 28th, 1987.
Yep.
Wow.
That's how old it is.
I remember watching it when it was still new episodes in the early years. I didn't realize how young I was when watching this shit. And my parents had no fucking interest in it whatsoever. So I was watching it by myself. Just finding it and watching it on TV in my room and shit like that. And just absolutely being amazed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like once it went to syndication, like, and people were loving it, like that show was
everywhere.
Was very, very popular into the mid 90s. I mean, like that's pretty much like the prime time for pretty much all of us. Like, you know, like when we were like kind of like in our formative years.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So James Cromwell as Cochrane is fucking awesome, dude.
Do you know who they originally wanted to play that role of Cochrane?
I can't think of anyone better. Like he did such a good fucking job, dude. Who?
It would have been somebody that was a huge Star Trek fan.
Tom Hanks.
That's right.
No.
Yes.
No.
They actually offered it to him, and he was going to do it, but it conflicted with
That Thing You Do.
Yep.
Because he was doing the directing of that, and he also wrote that movie.
Yep.
So
I'm sorry, what movie?
That Thing You Do.
Yeah, don't even remember it.
It's actually a good movie.
Where he's the manager of that band.
He's the manager of the like the 1950s band.
Yeah, don't even remember it.
It's a decent movie.
Thing you do.
You've never heard that song? Came out during Apollo. It came out around the same time Apollo 13 came out.
Yeah, no, don't remember it.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, it's a decent film.
No, if you told me like it conflicted with Apollo 13 or what's the World War II like
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan was 1999, but no, 98.
Or the one where the girls play baseball.
League of Their Own. That's 1991 or 92.
Yeah, no, you're talking about one of the. He's saying if he had taken that, done one of those other, which is now classic movies.
Yeah,
one of his more like well-known roles from the 90s, like Forrest Gump. Like he was busy doing Forrest Gump.
But
fuck yeah, dude, do Forrest Gump. Fuck this shit.
No, he wanted.
That was 94, but
he was wanting to do Thing You Do because that was his first foray at basically taking charge of a film.
But I will agree
and being shepherding it from beginning to end.
I will agree with you on that. James Cromwell is perfect.
No, he's awesome.
I can't imagine
great.
Tom Hanks doing
it
that
would have been
role.
a totally different way. He would have portrayed the character.
Well, Tom Hanks was known as a comedic actor in the 80s, and then in the 90s he became more of a serious actor. I mean, I think he could have pulled it off, but Cromwell, I think, pulled it off.
He would have
better.
He would have pulled it off.
Plus,
in
he was
a
older,
different way.
Well, Cromwell was also older, and Tom Hanks is probably younger around that time, so I don't think it would have.
Tom
worked.
Hanks was actually closer to the. It would have been closer to the age. Cromwell was way older than what had been established previously as Cochrane's age. Cochrane was only supposed to be like in his 30s, 40s when he did the warp drive.
Yeah.
All right, so Cromwell was way outside the fucking window.
Oh, I guess you have a point, but I guess his character, the way that he portrayed it, did it really well. Like, I loved his character because everybody thought that he was like this smartsy guy and everything else. And really, the only point that he did this is just to be on a fucking island with naked women.
It did a wonderful way of showing how history is rewritten. With this rose tinted glasses, to make all these people seem super important and so smart and wonderfully motivated and stuff like that. No, most of them were just fucking out. What am I going to do to make my life better?
Yep,
and it just happened to be that way.
But you like Cromwell better? You think Cromwell was a good character for
a good actor? Yeah. So Tom Hanks and James Cromwell are only a difference of 6 years. Cromwell was born in 1950, and Tom Hanks was born in 1956.
Well, I knew that Cromwell was
Hanks aged a lot better than fucking Cromwell did.
Absolutely.
All right.
The thing is, Cromwell was in movies like Revenge.
Hanks looks younger today than Cromwell did during First Contact.
And the thing is, the movies that he was in one of the Jack Ryan films. He was in early comedies like Revenge of the Nerds. He was in Explorers. He was Wolfgang's father in Explorers.
Yes.
Remember?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but no, he did the role perfectly. I think he was spot on. I think
I
Lily
really enjoyed him.
I think
I really
Lily did a
enjoyed
good
him.
job. I really enjoyed Lily. I thought that she was a good side character, especially with her little friendship with Picard. I thought that was it fleshed out Picard a lot more with the whole thing about the Borg and trying to deal with his issues with the Borg.
Okay, now there's one storyline, because this was filled with a lot of storylines altogether. Each character basically had their own little encompassing storyline.
Yeah.
One storyline, I thought it was a good storyline, but it didn't need to be there. It didn't serve a fucking purpose in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
The Data Queen interaction overall. As much as I love Data, I love Brent Spiner. Data is by far my favorite Star Trek character of all fucking time.
Yep.
His whole interaction with the Queen and everything that served no fucking purpose overall.
Oh no, I loved it. I fucking loved it, dude.
I loved it, but it served no purpose overall. It did not do anything for the story, in my opinion. That could have been done in a next gen episode or something like that, and it would have been fine, or a different film, focusing on maybe making Data as this one who's becoming a villain, maybe not a villain, and stuff like that. It could have been something different.
I think they just tried to create that story just to create more entertainment, especially with the whole thing about how he, for one point, was wanting to be human because they were trying to put a real.
He always wanted to be a human.
Yeah, but
since he was introduced in episode 1, he stated his goal is to be human.
And that's what she was basically gifting him with.
Like I said, it was wonderful and stuff like that, but I felt it served no purpose in the story whatsoever.
You got a little bit of a point.
I wholly disagree.
Okay.
I wholly disagree. I think it was actually a good arc because the story starts off, and even so, like that earlier in the show itself, that Data's whole plan, or like his biggest motivation, like, is to become as human as possible. Like, basically he was Pinocchio. He wanted to be a real boy. So Data, given the opportunity, like, to have skin and have feeling and whatever. And it is like, there's actually a scene early on in the movie that sort of exemplifies that. It sort of exemplifies that. And that's where Picard is touching the ship. Mm-hmm. That first ship, the Phoenix, that's supposed to be like the first warp ship that's going to change history, and Picard is touching it, and Data's just kind of why are you doing this, or what are you getting out of this? And he's like, I've always read about this, and just touching it makes it seem more real.
Yes.
And Data touches it, and he's just like,
that's a funny scene.
He's like, no, I just kind of feel imperfections in the metal.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have the same response or the same sort of visceral experience that Picard does, and you can kind of sense the sadness.
Yes.
And
you remember the part when they're about to battle the Borg and on the ship, and Data's got his emotion chip on, and he's feeling kind of scared and everything else. And then Picard says, "You might want to shut that off." And then Data shuts it off, and he's just, he's all fine. And then Data says, sometimes I envy you.
Yes.
Absolutely. Fuck yeah, dude.
But
absolutely. Like, I totally understand
to
that
me,
shit.
that went against what the Data character right there. He had wanted that emotion chip, that emotion ability for so long. And he finally got it, and they showed him, throughout the show after he got it, experimenting,
but
saying, I'm keeping it on for longer and longer because he wants to learn to deal with the emotions as a human would.
But for a life and death scenario that they were in,
I don't think he would have.
Yeah, but then he would have been useless.
No, he wouldn't have been, because facing your fear and still continuing on is the definition of courage.
I understand that.
It's not being afraid.
No, I agree with you.
Being afraid and continuing on.
I agree with you, but the problem is that they needed him to be the hardcore Data that he is, without all the emotions, so he can battle these Borg. He wouldn't have been able to do that. They needed him for that. Yeah, so I understand what you're saying.
But they had already shown him having that when he first got emotions in the show. When Lore had turned him on and he was killing Borg in the show, and he said, I got angry, and stuff like that, and just going on a fucking killing rampage.
See, you know what? When you go back to that episode, I didn't even think about that, but still. At that point for the movie,
but in later episodes, they talk about how he's working to have it on constantly because it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
But he was working to have it on constantly because that is what he has wanted his entire existence.
True.
And to tell him to give up what he's wanted his entire existence and basically become something less than was not doing justice to the character. I like the way Ron Ron just turned to Tyler like, what is your opinion?
I know, because I'm
somebody who is
about
uninitiated with the massive
I agree with you a little bit, but I also agree that at that time of where they were at on the Borg and the time and scenario, the thing is, you know what, that Lore episode was beforehand, so
yes,
dude, I can't.
That emotion chip was a huge part of him.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry, man. Like, I can't speak on the Lore episode or whatever because I haven't seen it. But as far as as Data being able to turn his chip off, whatever, I absolutely believe that was integral because this is high stakes. We've already talked before about how the Borg is quite possibly the biggest enemy or they're the most dangerous adversary of Starfleet.
Yes.
So if there was ever a time when you need to turn off your emotion chip so that way you can function, that was the time.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So everybody should get cybernetic fucking implants to make you a better fighter and better, stronger, and potential things. No, we're not asking you to cut off your own fucking arm to make you potentially a better fighter. No, it's part of you. It is you. Yeah. You are doing what you do with what you have. You are you. I am not asking you to make you less than in order to better benefit myself.
I understand, but if I was a captain of the ship and I saw that I had somebody that can turn their emotion
chips... But he didn't
chips,
order him either. He
said you should probably suggest to do it, but the problem is Data agreed with the fact, I should turn this off because I need to be more useful here.
I think he could have been just as useful with it on.
No, because
Data had proven time and time again.
Remember Generations when Generations, the whole thing when they're on the Romulan the space station.
Yes.
He was getting scared and he was becoming useless, and Geordi needed his help, and Geordi was taken because of him.
Yes,
that's what could have happened.
But he learned to deal with his fear and continue on. He learned because of that to deal with your fear and continue on, and he became better for it.
I know, but with the way that the Borg was taking over the ship, I don't think that they didn't have time to have him deal with it. I don't know. I disagree with that.
I felt it was a disrespectful move to everything that had made Data up until that point.
I don't know, man. I'll watch the Lore episode and I'll tell you how I feel about
it. Don't just start picking and choosing because you
got to watch the whole series.
Yeah, as you watch it, you'll appreciate all the struggles and everything that he had gone through up until that point and how hard earned that emotions were for him. And yes, he gets overwhelmed. He does get used, and it's like dealing with a fucking hormonal teenager at times.
Well, really,
because
the
he
chip
doesn't know how to fucking deal with all this fucking emotions.
The chip really
as he
wasn't
learns.
used. The chip really wasn't used other than in the Generations is when he basically actually put it in him, when he made the decision to put the chip inside.
Yeah, but no, he had been testing it on and off throughout the fucking series.
Yeah, he did, but the thing
until
is,
he was deciding to keep it in forever at that.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But the thing is, in First Contact, they had the whole thing where he can shut it off automatically. They didn't do that in Generations or anything like that. They put it in him, and then I remember he even overloaded at one point. Remember his face went all fucking weird and everything. You remember that in Generations, Tyler?
No.
Oh, you got to watch Generations again.
Man, this fucking tea is almost dead.
No, it's dead.
Oh, thank you so
Dude,
much,
I was going to ask
man.
you.
Your cup ain't even done. Fuck you.
I was about
Quit
to
being a
finish. I was
pussy.
going to ask him more. I think this is my third glass anyways.
All right, we got a dead soldier hand right there.
All right, so we will say this: that fucking
It's
tea.
fucking St. Andrews over there.
Exactly.
I'm gonna have
upside down. It's
I'm gonna
upside
have
down.
Sammy make another batch of this tea because that shit is amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Sammy.
This is really fucking good. And I was talking to Ron during one of our breaks. We were saying Nest tea. It actually reminds me more of Brisk. Is my personal
Brisk
taste.
and Nest tea taste the same in my
It
opinion.
reminds me. It's Brisk, baby.
Do you remember Brisk? You remember Brisk?
I remember this commercial.
Yeah, we were talking about that
Brisk,
because
baby.
it's exactly like that, but it doesn't even taste like there's any alcohol in it. Seriously.
I don't feel any
That's
alcohol
why,
in it.
That's why it's dangerous. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's
I honestly I did not feel any alcohol in it at all.
Yeah, it's why.
You could have put more in there.
All right. Wilhelm scream. Fucking love it. All right. No, so what I was saying about James Cromwell as Cochrane, the guy's fucking awesome, dude. Like his performance is is spot on.
No, I agree.
I love the fucking character. Like for example, like when they all go down there to the to where they're gonna shoot off the rocket and go into warp speed. Riker comes down. What is it, Troy? She's already been drinking with him, trying to get some information out of him and everything like that.
Oh, did you guys
Riker.
realize that little blooper about her? How her English accent just kind of came out a little bit from her, because she's actually an English actress.
Oh, she is?
Yes. Oh, you didn't know that? You didn't see that from? Yeah. Well, when she was trying to play all drunk and everything, you could tell that her English accent came out a
Oh,
little
that
bit.
makes her hotter.
Yep.
No, I mean no, that's for real though. Because there are some people they're born in one place. And then they go somewhere else for college or whatever, and they sort of assimilate. Talking about the Borg, talking about the Borg, they sort of assimilate to the culture there, and they kind of change their accent. My own wife, for example, she's from New England, and so it's really really funny to hang out with her down here, and hang out with our friends down here, whatever.
Yep.
And then as soon as that phone rings from back home, her fucking accent totally changes, and her R's fucking disappear, and it's totally different, and sometimes that even happens when you get those same people drunk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I could totally see that as Troy, perhaps she had a British accent, she moved over to the States or whatever to go to college, go to to Starfleet school or academy or where the fuck ever it is, and she assimilates herself to have an American accent, so that way she
No, that was just complete.
to fit in better.
It was just a complete slip up
Look,
of her.
man, I'm trying to get off over here. Okay,
Nope.
You're gonna by the way, when you watch the series, you're gonna love her race because her race is very interesting. You know that they get married naked.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, Betazoids.
The first time her mom, if I remember correctly, is
Her mom
introduced-
was obsessed with fucking Picard.
Yeah, her mom wanted to fucking
Wanted to
dick
fuck
down
Picard.
Picard
Oh, yeah.
hard.
All right. Well, I mean, that's just Florida. I mean, there's more fucking nudist colonies down there than anywhere else. But anyways, no. So Riker comes down, and he turns off the music, and immediately there's something I don't even remember what it was. Gets thrown across the fucking bar at him, and
It was like a bottle or something like that.
yeah.
Who turned on my fucking
Yeah,
music?
exactly. And Troy introduces him, and he's just and this is this is Riker, and to which Cochrane asks, is he your husband? No. Good. And he pours himself another drink. I'm just all right, cool. I fucking like this guy.
You love Crow. You love his character.
You know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of fucking Rick from Rick and Morty.
Oh shit! No, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because he invented warp speed, which kind of changes the world. Rick invents the portal gun, which kind of changes a whole bunch of shit.
Yep.
And so I kind of saw the similarity there, and immediately I love fucking Cochrane even more. So later on, Geordi is describing Zephrin's impact on the future, and the reverence because of his work. He talks about the statue, actually your statue is right over
there.
here, and you're kind of pointing your hand to the future or whatever, and he's just kind of ugh, I gotta take a leak.
Yep.
And there's like this whole
Leak?
back and
What leak?
Yeah. Like, I got to take a piss. Like, oh yeah.
Well, people in the future of you don't take a piss.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was funny that he actually made that comment because it was a running commentary that in original series and up to that point in Next Gen, they never showed a fucking bathroom. They never explained on this fucking ship of humans and other races how the fuck do they take a piss?
They
Do
even
they take
had.
a shit?
I don't even think in the quarters that even showed a bathroom or anything like
Nope.
that or anything like. They had a fucking tub. I remember because Troy was a tub when she turned into a frog in that Exodus episode. That's another good episode right there, Exodus.
Exodus is fucking weird. That's a weird standalone.
When Worf was.
That's a weird standalone fucking episode.
It's a funny one. All right,
That's
but
a weird fucking episode.
Barkley turns into a.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, Barkley. You didn't know who that character was. That one that was all stuttering that was following Cochrane. That's actually a character that's in Star Trek. He was like probably, and maybe if you were to
There's a
take
handful
all
of episodes.
like 6, 7 episodes or something like that. He's a very stuttering, very nervous character. There's even been 1 or 2 episodes where it was just him, where he was kind of like the main character. But that wasn't that was actually a cameo. In the
Okay. All right.
I didn't know if you knew that.
No, I
that
don't
wasn't just like a
he shows
random
up-
thing.
He also shows up in Voyager.
Yep.
Even though he's still in the Alpha
Lieutenant
Quadrant.
Barkley or something like that. What?
Lieutenant
Ensign Barkley or something.
No, it was
like that?
Lieutenant. He
Was it
Lieutenant.
Ensign?
No, Lieutenant.
Was it Lieutenant? Yeah.
Oh, damn, good for him. But no, the last point I want to make about Cochrane is, like I said, he becomes overwhelmed with all this information about like, hey, this silly thing that you think that you're working on is going to change the path of the future and bring about this whole new revolution of
Peace and prosperity
and everything like that. And he just he runs away from it.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. Is that they did fuck up the whole time universe because of that? Because it probably changed his character even more for what he was before. Because they told him what he is, so it made him probably more.
They actually do show him in Enterprise again. Cromwell reprises
Yeah, see, that's
the role.
something I wouldn't be able to remember.
And he's a lot more serious of a character when he's introduced. And
now I got to watch.
they're
Enterprise.
introducing him in the what's called the Warp 5 program because they, when you first do it, you can only do Warp 1. But in Enterprise, by that point in Enterprise, they have developed up to Warp 5.
Yeah,
and they thought that it couldn't be done, and it was Captain Archer's father who worked with Zephyrin to develop the Warp 5 engine.
Yeah, I gotta watch those. I gotta watch Enterprise. I gotta give it a chance because I love the actor who plays the captain, Scott Bakula.
Yep,
Bakula, I believe this is his name.
I like Blackula up better. But, it's me.
Yeah, well, I remember him. He's the Quantum Leap guy. That's who plays the captain.
No, I know he does a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Wonderful job.
Yeah, only movie I ever remember seeing him in is Lord of Illusions from Clive Barker, which I enjoyed.
The Enterprise, because it was telling a story more of very almost military type command, which is what naturally the Federation would have been born out of.
Yeah, because they made the ship more of like a submarine type of thing.
It was more Navy based.
It was before Kirk, right?
Yeah,
that's what.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't the USS, Enterprise. It was NX-01.
Yeah.
And it was, their test ship and so like that. And you see the Vulcans not believing in the human race at that time, still thinking that they're advancing too quickly and everything, because they in a very short period of time they went from discovering warp to we're going out in the fucking universe and playing, god damn it.
Well, see, that's the thing, that they became they had a friendship with the Vulcans, and that's what Vulcans became really friends of the Federation.
And the Enterprise shows the Vulcans still really looked down on us for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
Because they were looking down to us as, they thought we were children out there playing around, which fits very well with what the characters of Vulcans are. Very uppity, and we know better than you because we've been in this game for a while, and you don't know shit.
Which is kind of funny because that's actually a very similar point of view from the planned Dime from Outer Space conversation we had. Remember that?
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I'm a loser.
No, I mean, it's like, so
I kind of wish you were there, but that was a fun episode. That was a fun episode between me and you.
So we did Plan 9 from Outer Space, and then one of the things for as much of a joke as that fucking movie is, they did have a very, very interesting moral to the story, and that was here's this alien race who's already discovered the nuclear bomb, and then they they discovered like the solar night bomb, which could very well destroy the entire universe, and they wanted to come down and and warn the humans, like, hey, look, before you discover like this fucking monstrosity of a bomb, why don't you guys like slow down or understand it or respect it or whatever, and the humans were immediately just kind of firing bombs at them and like shooting at the UFOs. And the alien species was trying to stop us and warn us. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy. Like here you have the Plan 9 from Outer Space being one of the worst movies ever made, basically having the exact same conversation as a very, very well respected sci-fi series.
Yes. And it made a great point in Enterprise of how quickly humans adapt and thrive versus other creatures and stuff like that. It's what makes us humans. Our need to continue on, our need to explore, our need to better ourselves.
Yeah. We're the only species that has inhabited every single corner of the earth.
Yes. I mean, except for the dinosaurs, but then they were all part of every corner of the earth at that time before everything split apart.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, so we already kind of talked about some of the great characters. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Borg Queen, where she says I am the beginning, I am the end.
Yes.
I am the one who's many. She's got a little bit of a god complex.
Yeah, that's how they view themselves. They view themselves as the master race in the universe.
That's what I was going to say, the master race, like basically the better race of everybody else. That's why they wanted to assimilate everybody. They said, and they even figured, because I remember this in The Best of Both Worlds, where they figured that we were giving you a gift by being our race, because our race is a better race.
We're folding you into ourselves to increase our perfection.
Right.
We are the master race. Yeah.
Yes. No, it's very Nazi-ish. Very Nazi-ish.
Yeah, which is kind of a trope of a lot of movies, especially in the last, especially from the 90s and before that. If you want to make a bad guy, you want to make a big baddie, model them after Nazi Germany.
Yeah, you remember in Voyager, the later seasons, what was the name of that race, where they were hunters, basically.
I remember which ones they were. Didn't they have like long hair or something like that?
No. I'm talking about the ones that didn't have any hair at all. They were kind of like orangish in color, almost reptilian, but not. And there was actually an episode where they used the holodeck program to portray themselves as Nazis to fight off, stuff like that.
Oh, I remember that.
You literally see this alien race walking around in a fucking Nazi uniform.
Yeah,
you're like, Jesus Christ,
that's creepy as fuck, dude.
Yeah.
All right, but all right. So my big question with the Borg Queen is, would you?
Yes.
Fucking
she was super fucking banging. Hell yeah.
I'm going to have to disagree on that.
What?
I'm sorry. No.
What?
No.
That body wouldn't quit.
Yeah, it's fucking like.
Hey, can you imagine what that vag could do to you?
Yeah, it's reminding me of that fucking movie where the vagina's got like fucking teeth and it chops your fucking cock off. No, I don't even remember what the movie was, but
I think it was called Teeth.
Yeah, no thanks. No.
I would just destroy that and let her fucking assimilate my sperm all over her face.
You go ahead and have fun with that. Yeah, you go ahead and have fun with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my whole question is is fucking logistics. I don't think she had a vagina, dude. I don't think she had a
no, because
it was all fucking suit.
No. Remember, she was talking about fucking Data and shit like that.
Have you ever experienced sexual pleasure or something like that?
And he talked about how he banged Tasha and like 7-8 years before.
Did you know what that was from? When
I assume that was a part of a previous episode.
Natasha Yar she was killed off in the first season, which sucked because she was actually a really good character. She came back as other characters, not as her, but as a Romulan. She was a Romulan, wasn't she a Romulan?
Yeah,
I believe. But she got killed off by some Tar's ooze thing. I don't even remember what it was.
Another thing, with all the races that they've assimilated, the millions of different sexual techniques that she could have to blow your fucking mind. How could you not want to just drill her and become a fucking goddamn slave to that pussy?
Dude, it's like the galactic Kama Sutra.
Yes. Y'all both have a good time with that. I'm not fucking no Borg Queen shit. No, I'd rather fuck a real woman. Sorry.
I mean, she was a real one.
She was real.
She became 90%.
She was
cyborg.
fucking 90% fucking.
I know. You probably have a pocket pussy, a fucking fleshlight. You're telling me you fucking real woman. Fuck you.
No.
All right. So hypocrisy is something that's brought up like multiple times throughout the first conversations between Data and the Borg Queen. And I wonder like if this isn't like an overarching concept of this movie. Did you guys kind of pick up on that? Like, like a hypocrisy, being like sort of like a recurring thing in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah. So later on, like Picard like lures like the Borg onto the holodeck, and somehow like he kills like these Borg. But I mean, like my question is like, is that he kills them with a holographic gun?
Well, they're holographic bullets.
They can take off.
They can take the safety settings off the holograms
because all it's doing is it's creating a basically like hard light matter. It's a technology. It's the same way you can sit. The same reason you can sit in a fucking chair in the holodeck that's created holographically is they can remove the safety settings to allow. That's why
I heard a stand up. There was a. If you ever seen the documentary Trekkies, I don't know if you ever seen that. It's actually really entertaining because it shows how. You need to watch.
Well,
Trekkies.
I mean, they're talking about your people.
No, I'm not that far.
I mean, don't you have like the ears? Like, don't you go to like those conventions?
No, that is not me. I watch the movies. I enjoy the movies. I do not dress up like Kirk. Fuck that. Anyways, there's a little comic stand-up relief is like, when you have a hologram, what would you be doing if? Actually, that's a good question right there. What would you do? What would be your holographic fantasy?
I'd fuck the Borg Queen.
Oh my God. Okay.
I guarantee the fucking the cleanup on the fucking holodecks is insane. All right. You know how much sperm they fucking had to wash down the fucking drain?
Oh, I'm sure.
In those fucking holosuites. It's fucking crazy.
Oh, I'm sure it also fucking records everything that they see too. And I'm sure people will be going into the records. Oh my God, what the fuck was this ensign doing?
Yeah, and they got some guy like Noob cleaning it up, whatever. God damn.
Oh man,
booge all over the fucking place.
Oh fuck, I slipped again. Fucking jellyfish all over the floor. But yeah, like so. That was my question. And I'm glad that you used to you kind of mentioned why. How they make sense, because I was watching and I was like, why, what kind of Matrix Inception bullshit is this where you die in the holodeck or whatever and you die in real life? I didn't fucking understand that, but I guess that's why.
Yeah.
Again, another great character moment by Picard because he holds down the trigger and he fires more rounds than he has to kill these Borg, and he's just screaming as he's doing it.
Yep.
And it even goes
it's pure joy for him.
It is. He was
it's joy and fucking
revenge,
terror, sadness, anger, everything. It's all the emotions.
Well, Lily brought it up to him where he was trying to get that little chip out of the Borg, and she was just like, aren't you gonna care for this character? He doesn't care. He just wants to kill the Borg. He has no no feelings.
He even says, if you see somebody that gets assimilated, kill them. You're doing them a favor.
Yep.
Yeah, and he does that for that one crewman, that he sees gets fucking,
Ensign Lynch.
Yeah, and then he's just like, fuck you.
Yep. Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great point because he kills this Borg, and Lily notices that it's one of his own people, and he's just like, yeah, it was Ensign Lynch or whatever. She's like, tough break. As if she was expecting him to have some sort of response to it.
I got to get to the bridge,
and he's just like, he's like, I have to get to the bridge. There's no emotion there.
Nope.
And it's kind of funny, where they talk about hypocrisy because here he is trying to destroy this Borg, which has no emotion whatsoever. They are purely they're prime directive. They're operating to complete their mission, and he kind of becomes the exact same way in his own mission to destroy them. He is all about destroying the Borg and has no compassion whatsoever about the people that he
becomes what he hates.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes,
and that is some fine fucking writing.
Well, I mean, that's the whole. Like I said, that's the whole Captain Ahab thing and the ending when Lily brings it up about, and then she brings up he starts saying quoting lines from the book, and then she automatically says, "I've never read it." But everybody knows about it, and that's what it kind of he represents is Captain Ahab, the whole revenge against these Borg of what they've done to him.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful motivation for his character.
Yeah,
it really is. Patrick Stewart does an amazing fucking job.
Yeah, back to that whole fucking speech that he does about I will. What's the last word he says?
Like the line will be drawn here, no
Long-
further.
Yes, that oh, God,
I mean, this fucking goosebumps.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, it set up the stage for some of the the greatest fucking character moments in the entire series. I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about the series, whatever. But dude, it's hard to top that.
No, like I said, that's why I believe, and I'm gonna have to bring this up. No, First Contact. Well, you don't agree?
No, I'm just even thinking when Picard was being interrogated.
No, that was a good one.
That
See,
him.
Well, I brought that up. That was one of his best acting.
Exactly. It's just like God. Patrick Stewart did a phenomenal job with this fucking character.
He's good whatever he does. I mean, just when you think about him, this is even Star Trek. When you think of Logan as Xavier, as an older professor, in his,
he does a great job. But to me, he will always be Picard. He will always be Jean-Luc, no matter what he does.
So, what would you say his secondary character, his best character, Xavier?
Actually, no. The one that he did where he was it was something completely different. Where he did a TV show host.
I know what you're talking about. Was it that comedy show that was on
Yes.
Showtime?
It was just such a completely different.
Oh, I remember him saying that was mainly him. That was his
yes
passion to do. That didn't even last that long too.
No, but it was wonderful to watch.
Yeah,
just because how insane and what he played the drunk guy all the fucking time, douche. It was wonderful to watch. The CIA boss on American Dad. All right, it's amazing to see Patrick Stewart just voicing and having so much fun.
You don't remember him in Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson?
I do, but
it was good in that too.
Yeah, but no, it's not.
I think that was his first villainous role that he's
played
ever done.
Poop in the Emoji Movie. This is fucking Patrick goddamn Stewart. He played Poop.
I didn't even bother with that.
I don't care. It was a bad movie, but he played Poop.
I didn't even bother with that.
He played the shit.
I don't
emoji.
even do now. I don't even do the animated movies that come out. Everything shit that comes
Blunt
out.
Talk. Blunt Talk was the name of the.
I remember. Yeah.
The show that I was talking about.
Yeah.
To me, that's probably his second, just because it's such a drastically different character, and just to see him you can tell he is loving his job.
Yeah.
Playing that character, and it comes through. And I do think overall, everybody from that show will always be that character.
You talking about Star Trek?
Yeah.
Because I don't ever.
Brent Spiner will always be Data.
Yeah, Brent
Jonathan
Spiner,
Frakes will
I'm
always
trying to
be
think of any
Riker.
other roles that they had. Brent Spiner was in Independence Day. He had a small role in fucking The Aviator. Martin Scorsese's The Aviator. I remember him that. I don't remember any of the other. I remember Troy being.
They
in that
embodied
Crash
their
movie.
characters so well
that
nobody could ever see them as anything else.
Well, see, that's what I feel like. You remember
It's
Spock.
bad, but it's
okay.
good.
You remember Spock,
Yeah.
where Spock,
Leonard
everybody
Nimoy.
thought of him as Spock, and he actually tried to get away from that character because he didn't want to just be known as Spock.
And how did that work out for him?
It didn't work out great for him at
Exactly.
all. And then he went back to Spock, and then he realized that because I think he has a book where it
Motherfucking
says,
Shatner.
No.
will always be Kirk.
Leonard Nimoy has two books where he has one book says, I am not Spock, and then there is a book where he says, I am Spock.
Yes.
Because he realized that is
Yes.
his. Yeah, so.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, sometimes you have to embrace who you are. You have to embrace your character. You have to embrace what defines you. And unfortunately, sometimes I can sort of pigeonhole you or typecast you into a corner. But if that's what you're loved for doing, then that's maybe what you need to do.
And I think Picard realized, Patrick Stewart realized that because he left Star Trek and Nemesis was his last, and it was going to be his last thing as Star Trek. And then all of a sudden, about 10, 15 years later, he comes back for the series Picard, which is doing really well, which you haven't seen yet.
No, I refuse to watch that show.
Why?
No, because everything I've heard about it, by established Trekkies like yourselves, the show is a fucking travesty.
No, it's not. I disagree.
It's called Picard, but apparently that show has nothing to do with Jean-Luc Picard at all. It's
bullshit. That is complete bullshit. It is not. It's
I
not
can't-
Star Trek.
I
It's
can't
not
back
Star
you up
Trek
because I haven't watched it yet, so I have to
It
watch
is
it.
not Star Trek.
So I mean, isn't that kind of like an oxymoron in
No,
itself?
it's not.
I think that's
It's
Picard,
a
but,
different exploration. It's set in the same universe. It has some of the same characters, but they no longer are
Riker even comes back. I know that.
withheld to the standards of Starfleet. They're no longer held to the Federation ideals anymore. They are Picard, Jean-Luc, has left fucking Starfleet, left the Federation because he disagreed so vehemently with a decision that they had made that he felt was wrong. He's like, fuck you. You guys are turning your back on your ideals. I turn my back on you. And him going through that. And still you're seeing the scars of everything that he went through, including the Borg, carry with him. So it continuing on that character in a natural evolution of as the timeline had gone through, and seeing that of somebody who had risen to the highest of highs and then felt like you got betrayed. Okay, and then seeing what he does at that point.
So here's my question then, because you and I have had some conversations about Star Wars, which is much more like, like my lane.
Yes.
Your swim lane is more of more Star Trek. Every single time we've talked about Star Wars, you've hated the movies or the shows where it wasn't Star Wars. And here you are telling me that Picard is not Star Trek, but it's a good show, whatever, but you like it.
Yes, because it is following the natural evolution of that character. And it makes sense in the established frame that they've built it for that character. They're not just retreading that character for the sake of retreading that character and building on stuff. No, they are talking more about this person's emotional journey and everything that they've gone through, and they're not discarding everything that came before just for the sake of money. They are telling a good story to do it. And yes, it is no longer the ideals of Star Trek, especially the Gene Roddenberry ideals of Star Trek, which is that, idealized, everybody lives in peace and stuff like that. Star Trek
utopian.
Star Trek in the Picard universe, what happened was, for some reason, all the androids that they had and stuff like that fucking went crazy, started fucking killing people and shit like that. So
it was all Matrix style shit.
Not really. They had to, or Data was the one that the only android that they recognized as a unique citizen, but they had lots of androids, working for them, doing stuff that's too dangerous for, organic people, whether it's humans or whatever race it may be. They had an incident where they all went fucking crazy and killed a bunch of motherfuckers, and so they stopped all fucking goddamn people, all androids all together. They dismantled Data because they weren't sure if he could be fucking trusted, even though they had already in a previous episode granted him right as sentient.
You're talking about dismantling
they dismantled B4, but by then B4 Data had transferred his memories to B4.
Yeah.
They dismantled Data. They had turned their backs on the Romulans. Who when the planet exploded and like Romulus exploded and shit like that, the Federation turned their back on the Romulans of helping them because they were worried about the exposure, because they no longer had everything to help them, do these stuff like that. So they were weakened as a Federation group. They felt they couldn't help the Romulans without exposing themselves to more danger. Even though Picard, as an admiral and as an emissary to Romulus, when all that shit went down, he gave his word that they would provide help and assistance. Starfleet overruled him, said, nope, we're not fucking doing it. We got to take care of our people, take care of our own, which I can understand, but it does go against the ideals of Starfleet, the ideals of the Federation, and it made Jean-Luc into a liar. And so he said, fuck you guys, I'm out.
All right, I'm going to have to, like I said, I'm going to have to watch the series because I have no idea. Everything that you're telling me, I need to watch the series.
And the entire time you find out also the Vulcans and the Starfleet, they had captured a Borg cube and were studying it and were converting Borg drones back into their individualized selves.
Well, they already did that with 7 and 9. I mean, 7 and 9 and Locutus are basically the only ones I thought about. Q. Yeah, that's another one.
That's another. So it was an ongoing process of reconverting them back to, their individuality, and also still not trusting them, not believing in them, and still kind of keeping them separated the way we would keep the Japanese in internment camps during World War II. Instead of, it goes against the ideals of what they supposedly stood for, and it was a slap in the face to what Picard felt the Federation should be, and the emotional turmoil. And at the same time, he's getting shit in his brain that make him question other stuff, and you find out stuff about Data and everything. It's awesome.
Yeah, dude. So I'd be willing to check out Picard, but I don't think I would have the same appreciation that you have without actually understanding like the full history of Next Generation and Voyager. So I appreciate your point of view, but from what I've heard from other people who have the same appreciation for Star Trek in general. Apparently that show's just a travesty. So I don't know if I
it's because they are expecting a Star Trek show instead of expecting a different character study. Yeah. If you're removing yourself from it, because that's why it's not called Star Trek Picard. It's just Picard. Yeah. It doesn't have the Star Trek name on it at all. It's just Picard because they recognize it is not a Star Trek show. It is not trying to teach the same moral values and stuff like that. It is saying this is what happens when real fucking world happens. Yeah. And how people react.
Yeah. I'm interested in watching it. So
yeah, remember all that that utopian stuff you used to love about Star Trek? Fuck all that.
No, everything hit the fucking fan, and this is what happens if everything hits the fucking fan, and a person who still believes in the utopian.
But that's what brings entertainment, though, because nobody's going to want to see the same thing over and over again. Yeah. So they want to see something different.
So that's why I thought it would done really well, and I'm excited for a second season, which ain't coming out till 2022 sometime.
Really?
Well, yeah.
I noticed that they've done that with a lot with TV shows now, where it's not like
COVID fucked everything up.
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
Nobody's worked for like a year.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no. So, like I said at the very beginning of the episode, you guys sort of urged me to watch The Best of Both Worlds to kind of get a better perspective of this episode, because of course that two-parter sort of leads right into First Contact, and again, man, thank you guys for telling me to do that, because that gave me a much better perspective of the show, and albeit there was a much lower production value of of that two-parter. If you just kind of watch the story and then how it kind of goes into First Contact, you have a much better appreciation for for what Jean-Luc went through and who Riker is as a person.
Yeah.
And not only that, when at the very end of that two-parter, the episode ends with Data using a Neuralink with Picard to use the Borg's collective consciousness against them.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells them to sleep. He kind of sort of implants this message into Picard, effectively into the Borg, to tell them to sleep, to go into this regenerative mode. And Picard through sheer will separates himself from the collective and causes a chain reaction, destroys the Borg ship. Picard resumes command of the Enterprise thereafter, as if you can tell he's visibly shaken by the whole thing, but he kind of resumes command of the Enterprise. They take the Enterprise back to Earth for repairs, and you can tell that he's still visibly shaken, and in the episode more or less just kind of ends there. And I was kind of well, that can't be the end. That can't be the end of it all, because here's a guy who just went through a horrible fucking trauma, and hasn't really dealt with it at all. So how does this kind of end? Because it would be kind of shitty if the very next episode was everything's kind of hunky dory, everything's right back to the way it was, because that's not how it really happens in real life. So I kept watching, and I watched the family episode that happens afterwards, and and this episode has to be one of the best episodes in the series. With my minor knowledge of the whole series, whatever, I was thoroughly fucking impressed. So since the Enterprise is projected to take weeks to repair, Picard takes his leave to visit his family home, because he has all this time, whatever. He's gonna take a vacation, and which makes sense because of everything that he's went through. But he chooses to take his vacation with his abusive asshole brother in France.
Yep.
And then to me that just didn't make any sense. So Robert is Jean-Luc's brother. He's the complete opposite. And Jean-Luc sort of he looks to the future, where his brother kind of looks to the past and looks to tradition. And he and his brother constantly bicker over differences of opinion, small shit. And you kind of get the impression that these arguments have been going on since they were children. and it's most likely why Jean-Luc hasn't been home in like in over 20 years.
Yep.
So, an old friend of Jean-Luc shows up, Louis, and he offers him a job with like this terraform company called Atlantis, and like what they're trying to do basically is trying to create like another continent on Earth. They're trying to like raise up like the continental shelf or whatever. Like they're trying to raise up like this like these tectonic plates or whatever to create like another continent. And Jean-Luc has, like, with his background, he kind of has, like, some points of view. And he offers him a job. Because of, like, everything that he's gone through, he actually considers it. Like, this gentleman who has been of service to, like, to Starfleet for years, or the Federation. What's like, the proper way to refer to them as Starfleet?
Okay, Starfleet is almost the military branch, even though they're not forceful, of the Federation. The Federation is the collection of planets. Starfleet is their military branch. The ones that actually are in charge of all the ships and everything like that.
Yeah. So in spite of all that, Picard actually considers it, which is kind of a crazy move in his part because like he's dedicated so much of his life to Starfleet. So for him to consider like a job that has nothing to do with space or nothing to do with with Starfleet at all, whatever, is kind of crazy. And but when you sort of think about everything that he's gone through, it makes sense.
Yes.
Here's this guy who was taken by the Borg and assimilated and was made to destroy like his entire armada, or made to destroy like an armada, like and destroy like an entire fleet of ships. To include like an admiral or anything like that, and he had nothing to do to or wasn't able to stop it. Like it kind of makes sense. It's really really fucking crazy like that he accepts like the offer to potentially take this job. Like he even like schedules like a meeting to with his company to kind of talk about it. Later on, Picard's having like an introspective moment, and he's in his brother's house, and he's drinking alone, which I totally fucking understood. And his brother starts prodding him as he usually does. An argument about childhood jealousy and bullying quickly evolves into a fist fight of the brothers. Mm-hmm. And before you know, they're outside, rolling around, punching, beating the shit out of each other, and they suddenly start laughing. Like here they are beaten and covered in mud and everything like that, and they start laughing.
It was a good episode.
It
was. Picard tearfully sort of explains his experience and being instrumental in the death and destruction of an entire armada of Starfleet ships, being unable to stop it. And I wonder why the fuck why he would want to visit his asshole brother for a vacation. In that moment, it kind of made sense that after everything that had happened, he took off his uniform immediately and he went away to the one place where he knew that if he didn't want to talk about Starfleet or talk about his life for the past 20 years aboard the Enterprise, if he didn't want to, he wouldn't have to explain it. Overall, this episode has a lot of heart. It has a lot of character moments, not just with Picard and his brother, but Worf and his parents, where you learn a lot about
his adopted parents.
Yeah, where you learn a lot about his upbringing, as well as with the Crushers. Wesley is given a recording from his deceased father, where his father says all the things that we can only hope to hear from our own fathers. Yep. Where he talks about where when he looks at his face, he sees all the people that he's loved, and even though he's going to make mistakes as a father, that he still loves him.
Yep.
And he's still proud.
I mean, that's why the whole episode is labeled family, and it's the whole episode is about the families of everybody on the Enterprise.
Yeah,
Picard, Crusher, and Worf. So
and you keep saying Robert, his asshole brother Robert. I'm gonna go a different way. I'm gonna think that Robert sensed what Jean-Luc was going through and what Jean-Luc needed, and Robert gave him what he needed. He needed to not be focusing on everything that happened and to learn to deal with what's going on. And so he prodded him. He hit him in different ways to make him start to deal with life itself instead of just staying in his own fucking shell.
Yeah. No, he definitely did. And the whole episode culminates in a deeper understanding of some of these favorite characters that we all love, and what it means to come to terms with experiencing something terrible and finding the strength to move on and to appreciate those in our lives.
Yep.
Whether they're a jealous brother or the parents that you didn't really choose or the father you never really got a chance to know, they're all an integral part of who you are as a person, and they may surprise you. Like when you're in your time of need, like they may become helpful and in helping you move on, and when you're in your time of need, they may be there even though you didn't think that they'd be there to begin with.
Yeah, another thing that makes you appreciate the way Robert treats Jean-Luc is in a different episode. You see that Jean-Luc, he used to be a brash, arrogant fucking asshole. He got into a fight and got stabbed in the fucking heart by a Nausicaan, an alien race.
Another good episode.
Because of his brashness, because of him being this cocky fucking asshole and thinking he can do fucking everything. He's invincible and shit like that when he was younger, and he learned from that to temper himself and be more thoughtful and more analytic of what's going on, not just jump right into the fucking fire. So, but if you think about how Jean-Luc was before being stabbed in the heart, that's how he was when he grew, as he was growing up, when he went to Starfleet and everything like that. He was an arrogant fucking asshole.
Well, he was arrogant.
That he thought he would do everything.
In the first to second season, he was arrogant.
I ain't gonna say he wasn't necessarily arrogant,
he was
but
a lot
he
more
was
strict. He was by the
more
book.
disciplined.
Yes, but by the book almost type of thing.
Yes, he was more
But then
disciplined.
he developed over the seasons and turned into more of like a family character with all the other characters in the on the ship.
And so if Jean-Luc was, when he was younger, this brash, arrogant, fucking asshole, Robert is, of course, going to keep treating him, as he was while they were growing up, this brash, arrogant fucking asshole. And that's how brothers act.
Right.
And he didn't have the time to recognize that Jean-Luc had mellowed severely from the person he was when he left the chateau to join Starfleet. He's a totally different individual than when he came back.
Yeah, which definitely kind of caught me off guard because as when he's walking back to his home and his nephew, finds him and he's like, oh, what does arrogant son of a bitch mean?
Yes.
and it's just like I never really ever got that impression of Picard at all, like that he was an arrogant son of a bitch, but hearing now that he basically got into was like a bar fight or something like that.
Yeah.
He got into
It
a
was
bar
like- it was
fight.
during
He
Starfleet
tried
Academy.
to cheat some people at cards because he felt that he got cheated, and they caught him and they fucking literally stabbed him in the fucking heart.
Yeah, wasn't it like an episode where was it a Q episode?
Yeah,
I
because
believe?
Q showed him what his life would have been if he had never been, if he had never gotten stabbed in the heart.
It was a Wonderful Life type of thing.
Yeah,
with Q, basically.
and he realized that if Picard if he was more mellow back then, he would have just been a no-name officer. He would have never taken certain risks, certain chances.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing about Q. I think Q has taught him a lot.
Oh yeah, they
In
learned from each other.
All the episodes that had Q, you feel like Picard has learned something from him, and it's kind of like made his character and taught him ways about how he's become a better captain.
Yep.
So in a way, Q. Everybody thinks Q is a villain, but really he's an anti-villain because really I think he's helping Picard. He's actually helping him become a stronger person.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Q is this super.
You would like his character. He's actually a very
powerful
fun.
being.
His episodes are very fun. They can be comedic, but they're also serious. But they're also they're well made and well written episodes.
Yeah. I mean, he gets introduced in literally the very first episode of Star Trek: Next Generation.
Oh, yeah.
And he just an
And
on
he's
again,
in-
off again recurring.
He's in the
character.
very first episode and in the very last episode because he's in the two-parter episode for the finale.
All right, sweet. I don't know. It's after all this, I definitely have a greater appreciation for the show and especially for Next Generation. So I'm definitely going to be checking out some of these episodes.
We just made a Trekkie.
And I wouldn't go that far.
You can be a fan of Star Wars and a fan of Star Trek.
Yeah,
You can be a fan of both. They're not exclusive.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I definitely have a greater appreciation for the show, and the only thing that I hope is that they don't try to remake it like they did with the Star Trek, the OG Star Trek. So Maybe some things are just kind of left alone.
I don't think they're going to remake the TNG. I mean, they did the whole Kirk thing because that was the original series, but I don't think they're ever going to remake another. If they make another Picard, I wouldn't watch it. I couldn't, because, like you said, Patrick Stewart is Picard. Nobody else can be his character.
No, they do a good job. The TV side of it does a great job of honoring what came before, but telling individualized stories of what comes after.
Right.
They don't say, well, no, let's try to do this better. No, they're like, no, this stood on its own 2 feet. Let's honor it and continue on.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to our podcast, Barrel Age Flicks. We are so excited for the upcoming episodes headed your way and bonus episodes of The Small Batch, Sammy Selects, and now the new Tasting Room. If you like our show, please spread the word, give us a like, or leave us some kind of review on any of the social media pages. Give us a follow on Instagram, Barrel Flicks, or Facebook, Barrel Age Flicks. Our podcast is available on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Radio Public, Audible, Pocket Cast, Spotify, CastBox, YouTube, and now Pandora. Please shoot us an email at barrelageflicks@gmail.com with comments and movie suggestions for future shows or any other things you'd like to let us know. Credit to Carl Casey at White Bat Audio on YouTube. Man, your music is awesome. We thank you so much for that. It's great. You guys go ahead and check him out. I just want to say thank you so much. We hope to see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening. See you then.